Welcome back to Sister Scoot, where we are covering the big three news topics in Marvel news. Getting right into the very first one, Jenna Ortega is talking about the MCU, and she's talking about, I'm not coming back for the fact she only played like a 30-second role. But okay.
She was kind of like, I'm good. Been there, done that. They cut all my lines. I'm good. I don't even have a name. That's okay.
I mean, listen, I let's just start by saying I like Jenna Ortega. I liked Wednesday. I enjoyed it. Honestly, I couldn't tell you what else she's probably. I mean, like I know what else she's been in. I don't think I've seen really anything else she's been in. I think she's great, awesome, no ill will towards her. I don't even remember she's in the movie. I don't even like. Is it Iron Man 2 or 3? I couldn't even tell you. It's 3.
The Amazing Iron Man 3.
Well, 2 is also not hitting it out of the park all the time. So, I mean, I didn't even know which Iron Man she was in. Like, it's her choice as an actress, especially when you become a household name. You do have the choice. You have the ability to sit there and say, it's not for me. We've had plenty of other big name actors who completely crap on the MCU because they're too good for it, essentially. That's not where she went with this, so no hate in that way. But I mean, she did play a really small role, so I would like to see her if she would have the interest come into the MCU. I just guess the interest is not there.
Yeah, it was super interesting because, like I said, she mentioned, oh, yeah, well, I did have a role and they, cut all my lines. And then I happened to scroll down to the bottom where the comments, and there was just one comment, and someone was like, girl, you were like the vice president's like granddaughter
or something.
She was like, you didn't need any or the person was like, you didn't need any lines. Like, stop being salty about like your minor character having their lines cut 15 years ago. Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I hate that that's the experience she feels she had in that circumstance. Because I agree, like, from the outsider point of view, I'm like, okay, like, I never needed to know that girl's name. I never even needed to know she spoke. Like, the fact I didn't even remember it was Jenna Ortega, like, is crazy to me. That just never clicked until, like, I think a few, maybe months back, we were doing some sort of story with her. And I think we both were like, wait, she's in Marvel? Like, what are you talking about? So I hate that was her experience and that's how she feels about it, because it does seem to be what is like kind of alienating her from ever considering coming into the MCU again in a more fulfilling role. But, child acting, that's what happened. It is what it is. Again, it sucks because I think she would kill a really great role if it was provided and given to her. But what are you going to do, right?
Maybe change her mind in the next 5 years. Who knows? 10 years. Who cares?
Yeah, she would make a really awesome mutant. So
yeah, she would.
I'd be down that road. But speaking of people coming back to the MCU or just coming back to Marvel in general, Mike Colter wants to come back and play Luke Cage, and I would like to see him come back and play Luke Cage.
Yeah, I think, I think we talked about this last week, but like if you're ranking all of the Defender stuff, he's definitely one of the top. I think it's a really great casting. I loved him in that role. And, just knowing, I know we've talked about this a lot, especially around Daredevil Born Again, but knowing kind of the storyline with Mayor Kingpin, there's some real opportunity here to bring in Luke Cage in a really, really cool way. So yeah, I would absolutely love to bring him back. Obviously, there's some interesting casting things with Mahershala Ali having been in that show as well, playing a villain. But we've done it before. It's not a huge thing and it's already canonized anyway. So don't let that be a stopper, Marvel. We know that they are potentially exploring the idea of bringing these folks back. I think Luke Cage should be one of the top on their list now that they've already done Daredevil and Punisher. He and Jessica Jones need to make a reappearance. They both absolutely killed their roles and they belong together, literally belong together. So make it happen, Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, you say it happened before. It's literally happening on the biggest stage with RDJ. So come on, we can look past it and be able to bring Luke Cage in. We never even need to really address Cottonmouth. Like, we could just, that happened. Great. Move on.
Yeah.
I will agree. And like you said, I think we talked about last week, in comparison to the Defenders universe, Luke Cage is my personal second favorite. I loved the first season. I think I watched it in maybe 3 days tops. Like, it genuinely had me wanting to watch it and just keep watching it. He plays the character great. I mean, I don't know if anybody remembers, but I think or if anybody's in this realm, but like, I think it's Marvel Strike Force. It's one of the games they came out with. I'm very deep in some of these games, and Luke Cage was always like one of the first default ones you got. Like, you got Spider-Man, I think the Punisher might have been one of them, and Luke Cage were like your default characters. And I remember being like, what does this man do? Like, I know nothing about this dude at all. I couldn't stand him. He was the first one I always got rid of when I got new characters. But like, ever since watching the show, I don't play it anymore, but I really have like the extra respect. I'm like, you know what? I was hating on this guy. Like, that's how good Luke Cage, but that's how good that Mike Colter played this character. He brought him to life. So, I mean, he made me a fan. Let's just say that. He made me a fan of this character that I was just like, this random dude in a yellow shirt. Like, what is he doing? I don't know. So, I'd like to see him come back. To your point, it's been canonized. You brought in Daredevil. Like, we're here. Let's do it. You can leave Iron Fist, wherever that is. And just bring the rest of them back, and I'm totally happy.
Yeah, for sure.
On to the very last one, which I think stresses me out every time I get news about this.
Yeah.
The Russos are starting to spew some information about Doomsday and Secret Wars. There's a lot going on about this. There's two kind of bits of information. One of them being they're pulling from both versions of the comics. They did confirm that. The other being they think they're calling this kind of like the new start. It's kind of rebuilding, if you will. That is kind of the words they're using when discussing these two films.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I'm going to pull a little quote that from one of the articles because I thought it like really captured basically that second piece that you were talking about, where the Russo said, we told an ending story implied with Infinity War and Endgame, and now we're going to tell a beginning story. Who knows where we'll go from there? Which I think is such a like mindset switch because I don't know about you, Katie, but I've always kind of viewed Doomsday and Secret Wars as, okay, we're finishing up the multiverse saga. But now they're flipping that script and saying, oh, no. That's not an end. That's just the beginning. So the beginning of what? I don't know. Like, does that mean we're not going to be done with the multiverse? Is it the beginning of the mutant saga? The beginning of mutants in general? The beginning of, I don't know, like a whole new universe, that very soft reboot that we're gonna get that we talked about, I think, last week. I don't know what it's the beginning of. It was like the perfect little nugget to be like, I'm intrigued, but like you haven't told me enough that like I can make any educated guesses other than like those four possibilities, but have no clue which one is the most likely. So I don't know. To your point, I also just get stressed every time these two films are like brought up. It like, I don't know, my whole body tenses.
Okay, I don't have that type of reaction, but I will say I like the mindset change because ever since kind of, I mean, Taylor sent me that, just for context, Taylor sent me these topics yesterday. And I'd been seeing it on Instagram and everything else. I'd been seeing what they were saying. So I didn't really need to do too many deep dives into the information because I had been reading the quotes. I had been reading the articles. I like the mindset change because I think it's going to make a lot of us eat our words, including us, about especially phase 4 and phase 5 with all the one-offs. And we've been talking a lot about that, right? Like, things weren't connecting, especially in phase 4. And I think we've all been struggling with that because it's like, okay, you gave us this character, like Shang-Chi, perfect example. You set him up to connect to things that then we never saw the character again, not even a cameo appearance. So I think kind of going into this now being like, well, if this is just the start of something so much bigger, maybe the mutants aren't, I shouldn't say that. The mutants are probably next, just maybe they're not the forefront of what's next. Maybe they're next, but they're coming. Does that make sense? Like, maybe
it takes a while to establish something as widespread as the mutants. So maybe it's more of a slow burn, which I don't hate because honestly, thinking about overarching like the mutant saga, going right into that, I mean, that would have to be like a watershed change, a complete flip of the entire universe. I almost hope that they're actually going to go at it more methodically and plant those seeds slowly. And then to what you were just saying, it's next. We get a crazy focus on the mutants.
Exactly. So I think maybe if that's kind of what you start to look at, it makes sense that really the multiverse saga, or what we've been seeing in and what we will have seen in phases 4, 5, and 6 is really just all leading up to its next saga. Instead of it being maybe a 3-phase saga, it really is technically like, this is a lot of phases, but like phase 1 of a 4, 5, 6, and then phase 2 is numbers 7, 8, 9, but it's all the multiverse saga, if that kind of makes sense. Like it's just two halves of one bigger story.
Or even that it's not just going to be multiples of 3. Like that's a rule that we had once. So it's not even really a rule. It's just we stopped at 3. Maybe the multiverse saga is going to be 4 phases, and you're going to go 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, cool. Let's go to the mutants now. Like there might not even be a whole full like saga, 3-phase saga within that. Maybe it's just an extra phase.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, we've only gone through it once. We're all just making the assumptions based off of it. But I do think this is good news, especially for all of us like us stressing about, these two big movies that we're like, we know crap's hitting the fan, but we don't understand how. So I like this. Hopefully you guys like this because it makes me feel a little better going into it. But we're out of time. This has been this week's Sister Scoop. Lots of good news this week. Hopefully next week we'll have some other really great things coming out. In the meantime, make sure you join us again next week, as I mentioned. But also, you guys are not watching. I mean, I guess you could if you want. You're listening to the podcast as we're covering Daredevil Born Again. So make sure you guys are also spending some time doing that. And we'll see you guys next week.